Welcome to the Black Doctors Talk podcast. I am Dr. Sharon Austin, Professor of Political Science at the University of Florida and a member of the Black Doctoral Network. Today I am joined by Mr. Stephen Neal, who works in the Office of Intercultural Affairs at Loyola Marymount University in Los Angeles. He directs the academic community of excellence, where he executes educational initiatives and services to prepare underrepresented students to enroll in graduate and professional school. He also works with internal and external partners to recruit diverse faculty, promote the engagement and professional development of diverse graduate students, and supports the department's implicit bias and anti-racism initiatives. He earned a master's in education in higher education and student affairs from Indiana University, a master's in divinity from the Master's Seminary, and a bachelor's in English from San Diego State University. Mr. Neal, welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
All right, so let's go ahead and get started with the first question. So, first, I'd like for you to start off by telling our viewers and listeners a little bit about your background and upbringing. Where does your story start for you?
Well, I was born and raised originally from Los Angeles. I was raised by two wonderful parents, both who worked in social work. My mother was the first in her family to attend college, and my father was the son of an educator. And the church, was really the cornerstone of our household, although I wasn't saved until later in my life. And then from there, um, I attended San Diego State University. I was an English major, minored in African American studies, and those were some formative years of my undergraduate career development. And then from there, I did my first master's at Indiana University in the higher education and student affairs master's program, and had a wonderful assistantship during my 2 year tenure there. And then some years later, went on to my second master's at the Master's Seminary, where I obtained a Master in Divinity for further preparation for ministry.
That's a really interesting background. So, my second question is thinking back to your years as a student, what were some of the challenges you faced?
Yeah, I think the challenges that come to mind really kind of revolve around curricula. I recall as an undergraduate, really sort of the challenges, internal challenges that I experienced as an English major. Um, this the tension of wanting to learn more about African American and other ethnic literature beyond a single elective course. And so that for me was a source of tension and stress for sometimes as an English major. I had majored in English because I wanted to be at that time a high school English teacher. And so, but again, it was sort of a stressful and experience of tension being an English major and wanting to see more diversity reflected in the curricula. Um, but by the time my career aspirations had changed, it was really too late, I thought, to switch my major without extending my time in college or the additional monetary investment that it would have been. So I persisted as an English major. And then that kind of continued when I even went to graduate school, sort of the challenges of the dearth of diverse representation in aspects of the curriculum. I had a desire to learn more about HBCUs, Native American tribal colleges, Hispanic serving institutions, religious institutions. And so I found at that time that our understanding of the history of higher education seemed to be somewhat myopic. And so I was hungering for content and conversations around ethnic diversity in our class as well as in the curriculum. And so it forced me to really kind of pursue those avenues for myself. And so, for example, I initiated an independent study um, studying perspectives of diversity among students in higher education graduate programs. And so I did administered some quantitative, instruments to assess students' experiences at different um, higher ed programs to assess what are your perspectives about diversity in your curriculum? Are you experiencing some of the same things that I'm experiencing? And so that was a really insightful experience to pursue that study.
Okay. And the next question, what piqued your interest to go into higher education and student affairs?
Yeah, I would say that that kind of evolved while I was an undergraduate at San Diego State University. Um, I found myself as an undergraduate um, drawn to volunteer and work experiences that recruited and supported the retention of underrepresented students. So whether that was volunteering for the Educational Opportunity Program or EOP, um, or working for the Outreach and Recruitment Office, particularly in the area of recruiting underrepresented students. And I just had a growing affinity for that while not knowing that you could actually pursue that as a career.
Hmm.
Uh, and my recollection is really um, only one person throughout my college tenure actually telling me, and I remember it pretty vividly, being on campus, and this gentleman told me, you know, Stephen, you could pursue a career in student affairs. And he informed me about a student affairs kind of career fair that was taking place at an institution in Southern California. So I attended that, and that just changed my trajectory. And so I went from wanting to become a high school English teacher to working in higher education. I'll say this one thing that really punctuated my um, decision to pursue higher education. Um, when I was at San Diego State University, I worked for the office, the Outreach and Recruitment Office. And one of the roles that I had was working in the Career Center at a high school in kind of a uh, low income community. And I remember interfacing with a particular student, trying to encourage her and motivate her to apply to college and consider San Diego State as one of the institutions. Um, and I was on campus one day, walking around, from going from one class to another, and who do I run into? This student, who runs up to me, embraces me with expressions of gratitude, and said, I'm here, Stephen. I made it. Thanks so much for your support." And that just reaffirmed my desire to pursue higher education.
Wow, that's amazing. So my next question is, what type of work do you do within the academic community of excellence and the Office of Intercultural Affairs?
Yeah, in the Office of Intercultural Affairs, our office is charged with supporting Loyola Marymount University in the promotion of diversity, equity, inclusion. Um, That's something that's intrinsic to the university mission. And so the goal of intercultural affairs is to actively cultivate an anti-racist institutional climate that supports inclusive excellence and fights systemic oppression. And we accomplish that through a variety of different initiatives, such as our campus-wide anti-racism initiative, where we're trying to facilitate a process of inward reflection and accountability across divisions and departments and units across the university. We also have a campus-wide implicit bias initiative. We have leadership development programs, DEI publications. Um, we administer campus climate surveys and a host of other initiatives. in my particular role as the director of the Academic Community of Excellence, that is one of our student success initiatives in the Office of Intercultural Affairs. And so what I do is advance our mission of equipping and preparing high-performing students from underrepresented backgrounds, beginning in the sophomore year, to matriculate into master's and doctoral programs at some point after their graduation from LMU. So we're working with students who are 3.0 and above, high-performing students who are first generation and from ethnically and racially underrepresented backgrounds. So I lead that program, have the privilege of interfacing with some of the best and brightest students at LMU. I also help, again, to promote our faculty diversity initiatives. And so that's, for example, making sure that LMU has a visible presence at some of our external conferences, such as the Black Doctoral Network, where we can recruit and engage with aspiring faculty of color. And then another initiative is trying to promote and support the professional development of our graduate students from underrepresented backgrounds. And again, that's through such as exposing them to the Black Doctoral Network, encouraging them to attend and present at the BDN and to network with scholars and professionals, but also helping to facilitate linkages, mentorship opportunities with graduate students, with our undergraduates, and then also with, again, scholars and professionals.
Okay, my next question is, what has the greatest challenge been in your work?
I think one of the challenges that comes to mind is really more of an inward or internal challenge, and that is making sure that I'm continually looking for avenues to heighten and to elevate our work, the work that I'm particularly charged with. And so, I have the privilege to work with high performing, highly engaged, motivated students. Again, students who are first in their families to go to college and from ethnically, racially underrepresented backgrounds. So that's a great challenge for me to make sure that we are continually providing high quality services and support to our students to help position them for success after they leave LMU. Because I recognize that our students, the moment they enter into our program, they have entrusted me and our staff to position them for opportunities that, apart from ACE, they may not be exposed to or know about. And I take that very seriously. I also recognize that this is somewhat, for me, a social justice imperative, that we are doing all that we can to continue to prepare underrepresented students to enter into graduate and professional education and to diversify our career and occupational sectors of our society. And it's now compounded by the fact, right, that we are in the midst of a pandemic, as well as a climate of police aggression and institutional racism, et cetera. So it's now, how can we be innovative, continue to raise the bar on what we do in the execution of our work in a virtual space and format. And that also applies to the work that I do with supporting graduate students and faculty recruitment initiatives.
Okay. My next question is, what is one piece of advice you can offer to people of color who work in leadership roles in predominantly white spaces? What do you think they need to know about how to thrive in those spaces?
I think one one piece of advice would be just to recognize that in many of our predominantly white spaces or institutions, um, many of the spaces that we occupy in higher education and the work that we do, it may be viewed as an intrusion or an offense, right? But by virtue of the fact that you've been hired and selected to be there, you have a right to be there. Someone has recognized your value and your necessity to be there, and that you are an asset and you are instrumental to the progress of that institution. So recognize that you have a right to be there, while also maintaining a measure of humility in that at the same time. Um, Another piece of advice, kind of along that line, um, is to understand that our existence in PWIs comes within a historical context of institutions that were originally established without us in mind, right? And so we were not; those institutions originally were not created with our existence in mind. And so, in some sense, um, the degree of opposition or whatever the pushback might be is to be expected. But that does not in any way minimize our necessity and importance to be there. Um, and the last piece of advice, and I know you asked for just one piece of advice, but I think this is really all important for us to be reminded of. And this really comes from some advice that I received from one of my professional mentors. And it's the importance to forge partnerships across the disciplines and divisions of the university. Wherever you are situated at the institution, always look to establish a cadre of allies and advocates and fellow champions of, of the work that you do or deem to be important. Don't operate in silos. Okay, it's really important that we establish partnership among student and academic affairs, the president's office, deans, other senior administrators, and more. Um, I recognize that the work that I do and the work of Office of Intercultural Affairs, it cannot be achieved effectively without partnerships and collaborations across divisions and sectors of the campus. So partnerships in many ways are our strength.
Okay, thank you. And my next question is, you've been connected with the Black Doctoral Network over the years. What interests you in getting involved with the network?
Yeah, I was originally introduced to the Black Doctoral Network through our previous vice president for intercultural affairs, who recommended that I attend. Um, and so I was privileged to be able to have been selected to participate. And it's been, I think, for the past 3 or 4 conferences that I've had the luxury to attend. And this became incorporated into the work of Office of Intercultural Affairs as part of our faculty recruitment initiative, but also in the work that I do with the ACE program. And so I really enjoy the Black Doctoral Network as a vibrant space for networking and hearing from Black scholars and professionals. The opportunity to represent LMU as a partner. I've also participated as a workshop presenter. But I think probably the height of my um, enjoyment of the Black Doctoral Network has been to be able to accompany our students to the conference. It's the opportunity to expose our students to this space where they can engage with and hear from scholars and professionals who look like them, and also to position our students to be able to present at the undergraduate research poster competition, where some of our students have been the recipients of awards, and then to engage with them in the conversations about the experience. Um, so those are things that I've really have treasured about my experience with the BDN.
Okay. Well, my next question is about mentorship. Who are your mentors and how have they helped you in your growth?
Yeah. Yeah, some of the professional mentors that I have had have either been by through direct verbal mentorship or by their example. So, for example, our former vice president of intercultural affairs had a high standard of professional excellence for our team, which was indicative of not only her faith in our abilities, but reflective of the reputation of the office. And so I appreciated having a high standard of professional excellence that I could aspire to, and that I think that made me a better professional, and that is continued in our office today. Um, our current vice president of intercultural affairs has charged and tasked me with additional responsibilities and given me the autonomy and freedom to advance those initiatives. And I've really appreciated that. Both of the vice presidents that I've worked under have given me the freedom and autonomy to thrive in my role with a proper measure of accountability, and I've appreciated that. And one other person, I used to also work for our campus's academic resource center, and um, during the time that I was there, it was just by the example of the former director of that office, as well as the staff, that really challenged me to always look to be innovative, always think about what new initiative or what new program or service can you introduce to help elevate and raise the profile of the work that you're doing. In other words, never be comfortable. Always be looking to go further, not for the sake of your own advancement, but for the service of the students. And that is something that has remained with me.
Okay. And my final question, what is your approach to mentorship?
Well, I think my philosophy, and I try to hopefully exemplify this. It's kind of two-tiered. In my role, I work not only with students in a one-to-one uh, and also corporate capacity, collective capacity is what I mean, with the students that I serve as director of the ACE program. And then also, in my role as uh, a supervisor and developer of student staff. Um, and so, with my work with the students, um, I'm always looking to hopefully um, serve as a guide, a facilitator, an encourager, a counselor, helping always to try to give our students the tools to thrive and excel, helping to help our students consider possibilities that they may not have conceived of. Um, so, for example, if it's encouraging our students to think about graduate and professional school out of our region or out of the state or even out of the country, or seeking undergraduate fellowship opportunities, and really just considering the vast array of opportunities that are uh, accessible to them if they really believe in themselves and have the information. So I'm hoping that I'm serving as a mentor in that capacity with our students. And then as a developer of our staff and students, I'm always looking to encourage collaborative opportunities with our staff and our students. So for example, with our staff, One of the positions that we have is we allow our staff to co-teach and co-facilitate three of our classes that are connected to the ACE program. And so that's putting them in a position as peer instructors who can take ownership over the education of our students as well. And also with our students, as I kind of mentioned before, with opportunities such as exposing them to the Black Doctoral Network and other opportunities to enhance their professional development, just always trying to position them where they can be exposed to professionals and scholars, network, and other opportunities to grow as emerging scholars and professionals.
What services do you provide in the academic community of excellence?
Yes. Some of the services that we provide are both academic and co-curricular in nature. So when our students enter the program, they can enter the program either as sophomores, or they can also enter the program as transfer students at the junior level. So one of the key cornerstones of our program are our three courses that give students strategies to prepare for graduate and professional school, where we educate them about the graduate and professional school planning process, and then we try to position them to get involved in strategic experiential opportunities such as undergraduate research, internships, global experiences, and other types of opportunities. I also meet with our students to do customized advising to help them develop an educational action plan to prepare for graduate and professional school from sophomore through senior year. We require our students to attend graduate and professional school conferences. So some of our students will attend a graduate school conference, or our pre-business students will attend the MBA conference, and the same for our pre-law and our pre-health students. So these are all conferences that are conveniently located in California, or largely regionally in Southern California. There's another aspect of our program that we also emphasize, and that is service and mentorship. So we not only foster mentorship opportunities for our students to not only receive mentorship through our alumni mentorship opportunities, where we pair our students with alums of our program, but we also encourage our students to mentor and invest in the lives of others. And so we partner with our campus's Upward Bound program, which is a program that is preparing high school students from underrepresented backgrounds for college entry. So our students mentor those high school students in their preparation for college. And then we also have a peer mentor program where our upper class students are paired with our sophomore students to support them in their college and graduate school planning process. So in addition to the academic support and the co-curricular support, we place a premium on mentorship and service, investing in the lives of others to advance the progress of others, while also being mentored and supported on your process to entering into graduate and professional school.
Mr. Neal, thank you for joining us today. Please tell our viewers and listeners where they can go to learn more about you and the work you're doing.
Sure. I mean, to learn more about the work of the Office of Intercultural Affairs, you can visit our website. It's lmu.edu/diversity. So again, that's lmu.edu/diversity. And then to learn more about the work of the academic community of excellence and our great scholars, you can go to lmu.edu backslash ACE. lmu.edu backslash ACE.
Please be sure to stay connected to the Black Doctoral Network and connect with us on all of our social media channels. Thank you for joining us today for the Black Doctors Talk podcast. We hope you will join us again next time, but for now, be sure to like, share, subscribe, and tell a friend.